So this is The Real Review, and I'm Huon Hooke, and we're talking to Anna Pooley today. Anna is the winemaker of Pooley Wines down in the Coal River Valley of southern Tasmania, where she and her brother run the Pooley family business, and also Anna's husband, Justin, is also involved. He's a winemaker as well. It's a real family affair. In fact, I believe, Anna, that you are the oldest family winery in Tasmania.
I believe we are. I think next to Stefano Lubiana as well. Yes, third generation. So my grandparents planted the vineyard in 1985. So a little while ago.
That was your grandmother, I think. Was it mainly your grandmother, Margaret, or was it your grandfather as well?
Yeah, it was a combined passion of both of them, really. My grandfather was one of the founding members of the Beefsteak and Burgundy Club here in Hobart. And then between the two of them, they had a passion for drinking Riesling and Pinot Noir. Back then it was called Rhine Riesling, of course, from Tasmania. So a little confusing. But no, I think my grandmother, Margaret, really did take the reins of managing the vineyard beyond my late grandfather's passing. So it was that passion and love for being out in the vineyard that really helped to keep her living a much longer life. And then that passion really rubbed off onto my father, who saw the benefit of growing vines in the region. And then of course, growing up very nearby the vineyard, we had that shared passion, that involvement in the business. So it was great to be out in the vineyard, and then that's really carried through with what we're doing up to now.
If there's one thing that about your property and your business that makes your wines as good as they are, what would that be?
Well, I think it's attention to detail. It's always looking for a better way of what we're doing from a day-to-day basis, really, and it starts in the vineyard. We've made a lot of changes in the vineyard, and the most significant being in the last 2 years, really focusing on improving what we have, improving the soil health, sort of starting from the ground up again, moving away from synthetic applications in the vineyard, and I think that's translating almost immediately into the quality of wine. And then there's an agreement across the company that we are actually going to shoot for organic accreditation. So that's pretty big news for us, but something that we feel is essential for what we're doing. And we're seeing the benefits in the wines already with some small changes. So the big changes will make some even better wines, hopefully.
I think it's a great idea. I'm pleased to hear it. But I guess you're a third generation now. Was there anything that turned your head and made you want to become a winemaker? I know you worked for Treasury or Southcorp, it might have been called in those days, before going home to do the job there. But was it really your grandmother who was the inspiration, or was there some other light bulb moment that happened?
It actually was my grandmother and my grandfather. But really, I think on a greater level, it was growing up on the vineyard, on the farm, and I loved being outside. I was a true farm girl, and the city was a long way away, so we learned how to make our own fun. And I think when Dennis and Margaret planted the vineyard, that gave us all a focus. I think, coming together during the harvest as a family was something that was really, really memorable for me, to pick the grapes, of course, and Margaret would put on a long lunch. And I think it's that sense of family which has made it really, a really beautiful thing to be out in the vineyard, plus around all the family. So it was a pretty special time.
And I think your brother Matt is now pretty much in charge of the vineyards, or do you share everything around a fair bit?
Yeah, we share everything around. I think the last couple of years there's been a few changes with the vineyard management. We now have Hannah McKay, who's come across from Margaret River, and she brings with her a really deep understanding of organic viticulture and management. So that's allowed Matt to sort of step away from the vineyard somewhat and focus on being more of a brand ambassador within Tasmania. So a bit of a change for him. And then, it's allowed us to really drill down quite deep with Hannah's expertise and applying that to the vineyards, which has been great.
Of all the wines you make, is there a favourite of yours when you want to sit down and have a drink at night with your meal?
Oh, look, we always we start with Riesling, generally. A glass of Riesling, a lovely way to start the evening, and then a glass of Chardonnay, and why not finish with a glass of Pinot? So, really, I don't like having favourites, but it really does depend on the mood. They're all equally challenging wines to make, because we put so much heart and soul into them from the ground up. But I think at the end of the day, Pinot has always been the big challenge for us. And it's exciting, little tweaks here and there. And of course, there's so many variations with, vintage conditions being one of the main ones down here. But we're finding that balance of fruit, purity and power of tannin from natural ways of managing the wine to be the most exciting outcome, I think. So I'd say Pinot Noir probably.
And is there anything that you would like to say about what you're doing at the moment and that's particularly fascinating you that I haven't talked about so far?
Oh, good question. Yeah, we're actually, there's plenty going on down here, as there always is. We have planted a lot more vineyard up at the Quindavale site. So we bought a neighbouring property in 2014, and we've been busy planting that with more Pinot, more Chardonnay and more Syrah. But we're also sort of dabbling in maybe planting a little bit of Nebbiolo as a trial to see how that fares on that site as well. So watch this space, really. And then, of course, the big news, as we've already discussed, is that we're moving to organic. So hopefully in due course, we'll have certification.
Anyway, great to talk to you, Anna, and thanks very much for coming on the Real Review and for being part of our Top Wineries events. Anna Pooley, winemaker, chief winemaker, I guess, I don't know, at Pooley Wines in the Coal River Valley, Tasmania. Thank you.
Thanks, Huon, and thanks Real Review for having me.